It's that time of year. Spring is in the air, and so are the butterflies. It's mating season for the 65,000 monarch butterflies that migrate from Canada to the Central Coast every year. San Fernando residents Carol and Jason Freudiger spend their wedding anniversary each year in Pacific Grove with the butterflies, where romance abounds above.
Because it's magical. It's like being in a fairyland. We've been before, but every time is just equally wonderful.
They were lucky enough to run into this tour lady, affectionately known as Madam Butterfly.
That butterfly will say, wow, I've got a message in my brain from my great-great-grandmother. I've got to fly to Pacific Grove, California for my species to survive. And that butterfly will fly all the way down to us. We'll see it next October, and we'll welcome it with our butterfly parade.
Butterfly docent Ro Vaccaro moved here from Washington, D.C. 9 years ago.
I immediately fell in love, felt like I was finally home, and sent my resignation to Washington by Federal Express before I could change my mind.
She says she's never been happier in her life.
I haven't wiped this silly grin off my face since I got here. Standing here in a butterfly grove, looking at these incredible creatures, it gives you a cathedral feel. It's like looking up at stained glass windows with the sun beaming through those butterfly wings. Yes, there's nothing quite like this.
In 1990, she spearheaded the campaign to save the monarchs after discovering plans to destroy the butterflies' trees.
And we had to stop her, and we did. We were so proud of the people of Pacific Grove. We had a municipal bond election in November of 1990 to raise our taxes, $1.23 million, buy the property and turn it into a city park forever for the butterflies. And the people of Pacific Grove came through beautifully. 69% said, yes, raise my taxes, you got to save the butterfly trees.
This butterfly sanctuary is also home to several deer. It's a city-protected park that will never be developed, making Pacific Grove the only place in California where a monarch butterfly habitat is guaranteed.
It was wonderful. I think all the future generations are lucky that there were people that were foresighted enough to see that and take care of it.
Butterfly.
The butterflies fly well.
We've just been saying butterfly all week to him, so we're hoping it'll be his first word.
Next month, these butterflies will be gone, but their great-great-grandchildren will return to this very same spot next year.
They were born in early September, way up in the Pacific Northwest in Canada, on the last milkweed of summer. When they emerged from the chrysalis, they quickly realized two important things. First, they were unable to mate, and there would be no more milkweed to lay the eggs on until spring. They had a genetic message keyed into their brains, which told them that they had to undertake a very long journey to come to Pacific Grove, where their ancestors had spent the previous winter. There are two migratory patterns. Most of the monarchs from east of the Rocky Mountains fly up to 3,500 miles south to 5 main overwintering groves in the Oyamel fir forests west of Mexico City. Most of the monarchs from west of the Rockies come to the California coast. either here to Pacific Grove, or to Natural Bridges State Park in Santa Cruz, or Morro Bay, or Pismo Beach. Monarch butterflies can fly up to 100 miles a day and sometimes travel 20 to 30 miles an hour. Pilots look out their window while flying the planes and see clouds of them riding the thermals at 10,000 feet. The butterflies climb that high, then glide on the thermal air currents to save energy until they drop to about 3,000 feet. Then they climb to 10,000 feet again and glide some more. As the day grows late, they search in a reconnaissance from the air to find a location to spend the night, where there will be an abundance of purple and yellow flowers, their favorite color. They come down, drink the nectar, sleep for the night clustered together there, and when the morning sun awakens them, they get right back to flying on the pathway to us. It usually takes the monarchs at least 5 or 6 weeks to come as far as 2,500 miles to Pacific Grove. We begin to see them arriving in the first 2 weeks of October. They go immediately to the location in town where their great-great-grandparents were sheltered the previous year. Nobody knows how they know where to go. What makes Pacific Grove's microclimate perfect for monarchs to spend the winter? First, each of the California habitats has the ocean, a pattern of morning fog to bring a drink of water to the monarchs each morning. They must have water every day. The habitat must also contain a mid-range of trees to act as a wind buffer, and the butterflies also need trees with greenery from 20 to 40 feet off the ground so that they can thermoregulate by moving themselves higher or lower in clusters as they deem necessary. Pacific Grove has a habitat of Monterey pines and eucalyptus. Once they have arrived in Pacific Grove, the butterflies rest on the trees for a day or two, and then when sunshine has revived them, they begin to glide all over town, searching out nectar from flowers and bringing the people of Pacific Grove great pleasure through the winter. By Thanksgiving, our entire population of monarchs has arrived. That is the optimum time for visitors to view them, while they are still feeling frisky and when the weather is pleasant, so they are very active. By mid-December, they begin to close their metabolism down to about half and are usually very quiet through January. Other things that are necessary for the monarch's survival through the winter include a closed canopy of trees with a single opening to the sky to keep the temperature steady. The butterflies overlap in thick clusters on the boughs. In early morning, they look like triangular brown leaves until, warmed by the sun, they begin to spread their splendid wings and flutter among the branches. The basic daytime temperature throughout the winter is usually between 55 and 75 degrees. Anything colder, and the butterflies can't fly. Anything hotter, for any period of time, and they would use too much of their lipids, their energy source, and they would not last until spring. In February, the first milkweed plants begin to come through the ground. There is no milkweed on the Monterey Peninsula, and that's the only plant on which a monarch may lay her eggs. That's what they've been waiting all winter for. The closest milkweed is in Hollister, and there are fields of milkweed in the San Joaquin Valley where our female monarchs fly to lay their eggs. As the first milkweed begins to sprout 85 to 100 miles away, by some mysterious method, the male monarchs here become aware of the spring's arrival, and their hormones awaken, and the diapause in which they've been held comes to an end. Ready to mate, the male monarchs produce pheromones, sweet-smelling musk, which they put in the two black spots on their back wings, which are pockets. Only the males have these pockets. When the male's pockets are full of pheromones, the female monarchs think the males smell wonderful, and as they are chased up in spirals into the sky, they allow themselves to be caught. The mating ritual usually happens around Valentine's Day every year, and it really is a romantic sight to behold. Males grab the females in midair with their feet, and since neither can then fly, they tumble lightly to the ground. They remain on the ground in what appears to be a spirited wrestling match for 10 to 15 minutes. During that time, the female is not cooperative, and she's not supposed to be. She must try to mate with a strong, dominant male so that the genetic makeup of her children will be as healthy as possible. As he strokes her face with his antennae and tries to calm her. He puts his head close to the females as if whispering sweet nothings in her ear. But then he tricks her. He stands on his head and flips her body over his. With their abdomens then aligned correctly, he, quote unquote, makes the connection. butterfly lifts the female into the air and carries her beneath his body all the way to the top of the highest trees where they'll be the warmest. And so around September 1st, way up in Canada all alone, a chrysalis will open and a new butterfly will emerge, and that butterfly will say to itself, "Wow, I have a message in my brain from my great-great-grandmother. I have to fly 2,500 miles to Pacific Grove, California for my species to survive." And that butterfly will live for 7 to 8 months. We will welcome it when it arrives here in Pacific Grove next October, and it will be the great-great-grandchild of the butterflies that overwinter here this year. And the Pacific Grove children will march in their parade once again to welcome the magnificent monarch butterflies to Butterfly Town, USA. Volunteers at Pacific Grove have gained status as admirable examples of environmentally sensitive and community-spirited citizens, a reputation of which we are most proud.
Car, honey.